Imagine you walk into a room full of people speaking English. Bright lights are above you. You can hear the sound of many conversations happening at the same time. You have prepared a lot. Your list of new words is ready. Your grammar notes are complete. You have even practiced speaking in front of a mirror, imagining how confident you will be. But then, someone looks at you and asks a simple question. Suddenly, your heart starts to beat very fast. Your mouth feels dry. Your mind cannot find the right words. You pause. You feel your confidence disappear. That moment, when your mind goes blank in a normal conversation, is when I first learned about something that completely changed the way I speak English: speaking cards. I remember it very clearly. I was at a small work conference in another country. I wanted to meet new people and learn. I was standing next to the coffee table, drinking coffee that was not very hot, and thinking about what I would say to people. Then, a friendly man from the UK smiled at me and asked, "So, tell me, what do you think about the future of renewable energy?" My throat felt tight. My brain stopped working. I tried to answer, but my words came out broken. I think that energy that it's important. It was not clear. It was not smooth, and I felt embarrassed. That moment stayed with me for the rest of the day. It showed me something important. I had studied a lot of grammar and vocabulary, but I was not ready for real, natural conversation. I needed something different, a way to practice thinking and speaking in English without knowing exactly what question was coming. 1 week later, I went to a language workshop. The teacher took a small stack of cards from her bag. Each card had one topic or one question to talk about for 2 minutes. The rule was simple. Take a card, start the timer, and speak until the time is finished. No writing, no notes, no phone, just speaking. When it was my turn, my card said, "Describe your dream vacation." At first, my words were slow and not very clear, but I kept talking because the clock was still running. 2 minutes later, I finished. My speaking was not perfect, but I had done it without stopping, and that gave me confidence. In today's episode, I will show you how speaking cards work, why they are so useful, and how you can make your own cards to practice every day. You will also learn how to use them alone or with friends, so you can become more confident and natural when speaking English. Let's begin.
So, what exactly are speaking cards? Speaking cards are small cards. They can be paper cards, index cards, or even small pieces of cardboard. And each one has a short prompt written on it. A prompt is simply a small question, a short topic, or a sentence that tells you what to talk about. The idea is very simple. You take one card, read the prompt, and then speak about that topic for a short amount of time, usually 2, 3, or maybe 5 minutes. The important thing about speaking cards is that they give you a clear starting point. Many times when you try to practice speaking English, you sit there and think, what should I say? What should I talk about? And your mind feels empty, like a blank page. Speaking cards fix that problem because the moment you draw a card, you have a topic ready. You don't have to think about what to say. You can focus on how to say it. Let me tell you about the very first time I used this method. As I told you in the last part, I was in that workshop after my conference experience. The teacher handed me a small card, and on it, in clear handwriting, it said, "Describe your dream vacation." At first, I laughed a little because it seemed easy, but when I opened my mouth, I realized that I had to think quickly, choose my words, and keep talking without stopping. I began with, "I would like to visit a small island," and from there, I had to explain more. Where exactly, what I would do, what the place would look like, how I would feel. At first, my sentences were short and a little broken. I made some mistakes. I paused a lot. But because the rule was to keep talking until the timer stopped, I had no choice but to continue. That's the magic of speaking cards. They push you to keep going even when your mind feels slow. There's no stopping to write down words, no checking your phone for translations, no waiting for the perfect sentence. You just speak. The rules are very simple, and anyone can follow them. First, you shuffle your cards like a small deck of playing cards, so you don't know which topic will come next. Then, you draw one card at random. Don't choose, just pick. You read the prompt once, and then you start speaking right away. Set a timer for the amount of time you want to practice. I recommend starting with 2 minutes if you are a beginner. While you speak, you must not stop. If you forget a word, try to explain it in another way. If you make a grammar mistake, just keep going. The goal is not to speak perfectly. The goal is to speak continuously. You also do not take notes during the speaking time. This is important because real conversations do not give you time to write and prepare. They happen in the moment. Speaking cards are designed to train your brain to react in that same way: fast, flexible, and confident.
When you first try speaking cards, you might feel nervous or even a little embarrassed, even if you are practicing alone. This is normal because your brain is not used to creating sentences under time pressure. But here's the good news. The more you practice, the more your brain adapts, and soon it becomes easier to think in English without stopping to translate every word. The benefits start to appear very quickly. First, you will notice that your fluency improves. At the beginning, you might pause often, saying or while searching for words. After a few days, those pauses get shorter. Your sentences begin to connect more smoothly, and you start using small connecting words like and, so, but, then, without thinking about them. Second, you will feel less afraid. Many learners feel anxious when someone asks them a question in English because they don't know what will be asked. But if you practice speaking cards every day, you get used to talking about random topics. One day, it might be, "Describe your favorite food." And the next day, it might be, "Do you think robots will replace human jobs?" This variety trains you to handle unexpected questions with more confidence. Third, you become more spontaneous. In other words, you start to speak in a natural way, like in a real conversation, instead of trying to remember a script. You learn how to explain your ideas with the words you already know, and you get better at finding another way to say something if you don't remember the exact term. I like to think of speaking cards as a small but powerful gym for your speaking skills. Each card is like a short workout for your mouth, your brain, and your confidence. You don't need hours and hours every day. Just a few minutes of focused speaking can make a huge difference over time. And the best part? You can use them anywhere. In your living room, on a park bench, or even during a break at work. In the next part, I will explain exactly why this method works so well for language learning, and why it can help you even if you feel stuck or shy when speaking English. But for now, remember this. The power of speaking cards is not in the paper itself. It's in the moment you push yourself to talk without stopping, and in the habit of doing it every single day.
Why do speaking cards work so well? There are several reasons, and each one is connected to the biggest challenges English learners face. Let's start with one of the most common problems: going blank. Many people have experienced this. You know the words. You have studied the grammar. But when it's time to speak, your brain suddenly feels empty. You open your mouth, but nothing comes out. This happens because in real conversations, you don't have time to prepare everything in your head first. You have to think and speak almost at the same time. Speaking cards train your brain for this exact situation. When you see the prompt and start speaking immediately, you are practicing the skill of reacting quickly without freezing. The more you do this, the less often you will experience that blank moment. Another reason speaking cards are so effective is that they create what I call controlled pressure. In daily life, speaking English with strangers or in meetings can feel stressful because the pressure is real. Other people are watching, listening, and maybe even judging you. But when you practice with speaking cards, you can create a safe environment where the pressure is smaller, but still enough to make you work harder. You set a timer, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and you give yourself the challenge: talk without stopping until the time is up. This limited time adds just enough pressure to push you to think faster and avoid overthinking. It's like practicing a sport with a friendly coach before playing in a real game. This kind of practice also builds confidence in a natural way. At first, you may not feel confident because you will notice mistakes, pauses, and moments when you can't find the perfect word. But every time you finish your 2 or 3 minutes without giving up, your confidence grows. You start to realize, I can do this. I can keep talking even when I'm not perfect. That feeling changes the way you approach real conversations. Instead of thinking, what if I make a mistake? You start thinking, I can handle it even if I do make a mistake.
Speaking cards are also powerful because they improve fluency. Fluency is not about speaking quickly. It's about speaking smoothly, without long pauses, and without needing to translate every sentence in your head. When you practice with speaking cards, you force yourself to connect ideas, link sentences, and keep moving forward in your speech. Over time, your brain learns to find words faster, and your mouth learns to produce sentences more easily. The process becomes automatic, and that's when you start thinking directly in English without going through your native language first. Another important benefit is that speaking cards encourage improvisation. In real life, you can't predict what people will say to you. Someone might ask about your weekend, your opinion on a news story, or even a personal memory. If you only practice memorized dialogues, you will struggle with unexpected questions. Speaking cards fix this by giving you random topics every time you practice. You never know what card you will pick, so you must learn to adapt and respond in the moment. This is exactly the same skill you use in a real conversation. And finally, speaking cards help you learn how to paraphrase, to explain something in another way when you don't know or can't remember the exact word. For example, if your card says, "Describe your favorite childhood toy," and you forget the English word for kite, you can still say, "It is a toy you fly in the sky with a long string and it moves with the wind." By doing this often, you stop being afraid of not knowing the perfect word because you know you can always describe it in another way. This keeps the conversation alive and makes you sound more natural. When you combine all these benefits, avoiding mental blanks, practicing under controlled pressure, building confidence, improving fluency, thinking directly in English, learning to improvise, and developing paraphrasing skills, you have a complete speaking workout in just a few minutes a day. That is why speaking cards work for so many learners, from beginners to advanced speakers. They are simple, but they train the exact skills you need for real, successful communication. In the next part, we will talk about how to make your own speaking cards and how to choose the right prompts so your practice is effective, fun, and always challenging.
Now that you understand what speaking cards are and why they work so well, let's talk about how to create your first set. You don't need anything complicated or expensive. In fact, you can start today with just a few simple materials. The most common choice is a pack of index cards, those small, sturdy pieces of paper often used for notes or study flashcards. You can find them in most stationery stores, or even cut them yourself from thick paper. You will also need a pen, something comfortable for writing, and if you like, some colorful markers or highlighters. The colors are not essential, but they can make your cards look more fun and help you organize topics into categories. The process is simple. On each card, you will write a single prompt. Remember, a prompt is just a short question, topic, or sentence that tells you what to talk about. You want the prompt to be clear, but not too detailed. The goal is to give you enough direction to start speaking while still leaving space for your imagination and personal ideas. Let's look at some examples of prompts you can create. One useful category is daily life. These prompts are about situations and routines you already know well, which makes them easier to talk about, especially if you are a beginner. For example, you could write, "Describe your ideal morning routine." This gives you the chance to talk about what time you wake up, what you eat for breakfast, how you prepare for the day, and maybe even how you would like your mornings to be if you could change them. Daily life topics are great for building fluency because they use vocabulary you can apply in real conversations. Another category is opinions. These prompts are designed to make you think and express your personal point of view. For example, do you think social media is good or bad? With a question like this, there's no right or wrong answer. You simply explain what you believe, give reasons, and maybe compare the positive and negative sides. Opinion topics help you practice expressing ideas, agreeing or disagreeing politely, and using linking phrases like "on the other hand" or "in my opinion."
If you want a little more challenge, you can add debate topics. These are similar to opinion topics, but they often touch on issues that can be controversial or require more reasoning. An example could be, should we ban single-use plastics? This kind of prompt pushes you to think of arguments for and against, to explain your logic, and to support your position with examples. Debate prompts are fantastic for intermediate and advanced learners, but even beginners can try them. You can start with simple sentences and gradually build more complex arguments. A fourth category is creativity. These prompts encourage you to use your imagination and think about situations that may never happen in real life but are still fun to describe. For example, if you could time travel, where would you go? Here, you could talk about going to the future, visiting the past, meeting a famous historical figure, or even changing a moment in your own life. Creative topics give you freedom to invent details, which can make the practice more enjoyable and less stressful. When choosing topics for your speaking cards, think about your personal goals for learning English. If your main goal is to use English for work, then create more prompts related to your profession, office situations, or industry-specific vocabulary. For example, how would you explain your job to a child? Or, what is the biggest challenge in your field? If your goal is travel, include prompts like, describe the best trip you ever took, or what would you do if you lost your passport abroad? If English is part of your hobbies, choose prompts connected to those hobbies, such as, explain the rules of your favorite sport, or describe the feeling of finishing a great book. Here's a practical way to start. Take 5 index cards right now and write one prompt on each. Try to choose a mix of categories. For example, daily life. What is your favorite meal of the day and why? Opinions. Do you prefer to live in a big city or a small town? Debate. Should school uniforms be mandatory? Creativity. If you could instantly learn any skill, what would it be? Travel. Describe the perfect weekend getaway. Once you have these first 5 cards, you can test the method right away. Shuffle the cards, pick one at random, start your timer, and speak without stopping until the time is up. You'll see how quickly you can build more cards over time. In a few weeks, you might have a full set of 50 or even 100 prompts, each ready to challenge you in a new way. In the next part, we will talk about how to practice effectively with speaking cards every day. The techniques that will make your sessions short, fun, and incredibly powerful for your English fluency.
One of the biggest questions learners have after making their first speaking cards is, how do I actually use them every day to improve? The answer is to build a simple, enjoyable routine that fits into your life. Let's start with the idea of morning ritual. Imagine this. You wake up, prepare your coffee or tea, sit down in a quiet spot, pick one random speaking card, and set a timer for 2 minutes. Your goal is simple. Speak continuously until the timer rings. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes or if you have to pause for a second to think. What matters is that you keep talking and try not to stop. This short exercise can become a powerful habit because it trains your brain to start the day in English mode, making it easier to think and communicate in English throughout the rest of your day. To make your practice even more effective, use your phone's voice recorder while you speak. Recording yourself may feel strange at first, but it's one of the fastest ways to notice what you need to improve. After you finish speaking, listen to the recording and pay attention to a few things. Did you speak smoothly, or did you stop too often?
Did you use a variety of vocabulary, or did you repeat the same words again and again? Were your sentences complete, or did you cut them short? This kind of self-analysis can be uncomfortable at first because you might notice mistakes you didn't hear while speaking, but it's also incredibly motivating. You start to hear your progress over time, and that keeps you going. While listening to your recording, take a small notebook or open a note app on your phone and write down 3 words or phrases you wish you had used but couldn't remember in the moment. For example, if you were talking about travel and wanted to say boarding pass but couldn't remember it, write it down. Then look up the correct word or phrase and write a short example sentence. By doing this every day, you create a personal vocabulary list that is directly connected to your real speaking needs, not just random words from a textbook. This makes the vocabulary more memorable because you remember the exact situation when you needed it.
Once you have your 3 new words or phrases, take a few minutes during the day to review them. You could look at your list during lunch, on the bus, or before bed. The review doesn't have to be long. Even 30 seconds is enough to refresh your memory. The important thing is to see and say the words again on the same day you learned them. This repetition helps your brain store them in long-term memory, so they will be ready the next time you need them in conversation. To make your practice richer and more complete, you can also combine speaking cards with reading and shadowing exercises. For example, after your 2 minutes of speaking in the morning, choose a short text in English, maybe a news article, a blog post, or a story. Read it out loud to practice pronunciation and rhythm. Then try shadowing, which means listening to a native speaker read the text and speaking along at the same time, imitating their speed, intonation, and pronunciation. Shadowing may feel challenging, but it forces your mouth and brain to work together at a faster pace, which is exactly what happens in real conversations. If you combine all these elements, the morning speaking card, the recording and self-analysis, the list of 3 words or phrases, the quick vocabulary review, and the reading plus shadowing, you will have a complete, well-rounded daily practice that takes only 15 to 20 minutes. Over time, you will notice that your sentences flow more easily, your vocabulary grows naturally, and your confidence in speaking rises without the pressure of a classroom or the need for another person to practice with you. In the next part, we will explore how to practice with a partner using speaking cards, which can add even more energy, feedback, and fun to your routine. That's when the game-like aspect of speaking cards really shines, and you start to feel the difference in real conversations with other people.
Practicing with speaking cards alone is powerful. But when you bring other people into the activity, the benefits multiply. One of the best ways to do this is by organizing small gatherings with friends, classmates, or members of a language exchange group. These don't have to be formal events. In fact, the more relaxed they feel, the better. You can meet at someone's home, in a coffee shop, at a library, or even online through a video call. The main goal is to create a space where everyone feels comfortable speaking English, no matter their level. It's important to remember that mistakes are welcome here because they are part of the learning process. The basic structure for a group session is simple and very similar to practicing alone, but now there's the energy of interaction. You start by shuffling the speaking cards and placing them face down in the middle of the table. Each person takes turns drawing a card at random. When it's your turn, you read the prompt out loud and begin speaking for the set amount of time, usually between 1 and 3 minutes. While one person speaks, the others listen attentively, ready to give supportive feedback at the end. This feedback can be as simple as pointing out a word that was used really well, suggesting a new phrase, or gently correcting a grammar point. The key is to make the feedback positive and encouraging, so the speaker feels motivated to keep practicing. To keep the atmosphere light and enjoyable, it helps to make the session feel more like a casual hangout than a class. You could have some snacks on the table, cookies, fruit, chips, whatever people enjoy, and maybe some drinks like tea, coffee, or juice. Laughter is also an essential ingredient. If someone says something funny, enjoy the moment together. If a person gets stuck, you can all help them find the word they need. The idea is to create a safe, friendly environment where speaking English is associated with good memories and not with stress or embarrassment.
When you use speaking cards regularly, you will eventually want to go beyond random prompts and start creating cards that target very specific skills. This is an excellent way to make your practice more focused and to work on areas where you feel less confident. There are many categories you can explore, but let's look at 4 that are especially useful: daily life, diary, opinions, storytelling, and professional preparation. Each one trains a different aspect of communication, and each one can be designed with its own style of prompts and key phrases. The first category is diary-style prompts, which are perfect for practicing sequential connectors, words and phrases that help you organize your ideas in a logical order. These prompts might ask you to describe your day, your week, or a specific routine. For example, describe what you did last weekend from start to finish, or explain your ideal morning routine step by step. The goal here is to use connectors like first, then, after that, finally, or in the end to guide the listener through your story. This kind of practice improves fluency and clarity because your sentences flow naturally from one event to the next. The second category is opinion prompts, which are designed to help you practice building a clear, argumentative structure. Here, you are not just describing facts, you are taking a position and defending it. For example, do you think social media has a positive or negative effect on society? Or should governments ban single-use plastics? With these prompts, try to follow a simple structure. State your opinion clearly, give at least 2 reasons to support it, and, if possible, address an opposing view. Useful phrases for this type of speaking include, "in my opinion," "one reason I believe this is," "another point is," and "on the other hand." Practicing this regularly will make it much easier to express your views in discussions, debates, or even casual conversations.
The third category is storytelling prompts, which focus on using the past tense, descriptive language, and emotional expressions to make your story engaging. These prompts might say, "Tell me about the most surprising thing that happened to you this year," or "Describe a childhood memory you will never forget." Here, you can practice verbs in the past simple and past continuous. Add sensory details like, "I could hear the sound of the waves," or "The air smelled like fresh bread." And include emotional language like, "I felt so proud," or "It was terrifying." Storytelling is one of the most enjoyable ways to practice because it connects language learning with personal experiences, making it more memorable. The fourth category is professional preparation prompts, which are essential for anyone who needs English for work, interviews, or presentations. These prompts might be, "Tell me about your greatest professional achievement," or "Describe a challenge at work and how you solved it," or "Give a short presentation on a product or service you know well." The focus here is on clear, formal language and structured answers. Useful phrases include "in my current role." One example of this is, "The key challenge was," and "as a result." By practicing with this type of card, you prepare yourself for real situations where you must speak confidently and professionally in English. No matter which category you choose, it's a good idea to write key phrases on the back of each card to remind you of the language you want to practice. For example, a diary card might have "first," "then," "after that," "finally." An opinion card might have "in my opinion," "one reason is," "on the other hand." A storytelling card might have "I remember," "it felt like," "suddenly." And a professional card might have "in my current role," "the main challenge was," "as a result." Having these phrases close by will guide your speaking and make your answers richer and more structured. By organizing your speaking cards into these categories and including helpful phrases, you turn them into a more powerful learning tool. Instead of just speaking about random topics, you are now practicing specific skills that will make you more confident and versatile in different real-life situations.
Over time, you can mix the categories in your daily or weekly routine so that you are constantly developing multiple aspects of your English at the same time. In today's world, technology offers a huge range of tools that can make your speaking card practice more organized and efficient. Apps like Anki and Quizlet are especially useful because they allow you to store your prompts digitally and review them anytime, anywhere. You can create a set of prompts for each category: diary, opinions, storytelling, professional, and even add pictures, audio recordings, or translations if you need them. With these apps, you can set up reminders to review your prompts every day, and they use spaced repetition technology to make sure you remember them over the long term. This means the cards you struggle with will appear more often, while the ones you know well will appear less frequently. Digital cards have clear advantages. They are easy to carry because they live in your phone or tablet. They can be updated instantly, and they allow you to search quickly for a specific prompt or theme. You can also share your sets with friends or group members, so everyone can practice with the same materials. If you like variety, you can download public decks that other learners have created, giving you access to hundreds of new prompts without having to write them yourself. However, there are also some disadvantages compared to physical cards. Using a phone can be distracting. It's tempting to check messages, social media, or other apps during practice. Also, physical cards have a special tactile quality that helps you focus. When you hold a card in your hand, flip it over, and place it on the table, your brain often engages more deeply. Some learners find that writing prompts by hand makes them easier to remember, because the physical act of writing creates a stronger memory link than typing.
For this reason, many people choose a blended approach. They keep a set of physical cards for daily or group practice, and they store a digital copy for quick review when they are on the go. This way, they enjoy the focus and personal connection of paper while still benefiting from the flexibility and organization of technology. In the end, the most important thing is not whether you choose paper or digital, but that you use your speaking cards consistently and keep challenging yourself with new, interesting prompts.
One of the most important steps in making your speaking cards practice truly effective is creating a daily routine. It is easy to say, "I will practice when I have time," but the truth is that time will always disappear unless you plan it. The good news is that you can fit speaking cards into almost any part of your day, even if your schedule is busy. In the morning, for example, you could make it part of your breakfast ritual. Coffee, a quick stretch, and then choose one card to speak about for 2 or 3 minutes. This not only trains your English, but also wakes up your brain and gives you a sense of accomplishment before the day even begins. If you use public transportation, you can practice silently in your head or even whisper to yourself if you feel comfortable. You could take out your cards or open your digital set on your phone. Read a prompt and mentally go through your answer. This type of thinking practice is still valuable because it forces your mind to find words quickly in English, even if you are not speaking out loud. At lunchtime, you could take 5 minutes after eating to pick a new card and record yourself on your phone. This gives you a short but focused practice session right in the middle of the day. In the evening, maybe before bed, you can choose one more card and speak freely without worrying about mistakes, using it as a relaxed way to end the day. To make this routine even more powerful, you should keep a progress diary. This can be a simple notebook or a digital document where every day you write down the date, the topic of the card you used, a quick self-score for fluency, for example from 1 to 5, and 3 new words or phrases you wanted to use or learned during the session. This habit will help you see exactly how much you are practicing and what vocabulary you are adding to your language. Over time, it becomes very motivating to look back and see how many topics you have covered and how much your speaking has improved. Finally, it's important to have a monthly review. At the end of each month, take 15 or 20 minutes to go through your diary and listen to some of your recordings from the first week of the month. Compare them with your more recent recordings. Pay attention to things like how fast you speak, how confident you sound, and how often you hesitate. You might also notice that your sentences are longer and your vocabulary is richer. This monthly check-in will show you concrete evidence of your progress, which will keep you motivated and help you decide what to focus on next. By making speaking cards a fixed part of your daily routine, tracking your progress, and regularly reviewing your evolution, you turn this method from a casual exercise into a powerful habit. Over time, you will see that the simple act of speaking for a few minutes every day can create dramatic improvements in your fluency, confidence, and ability to think directly in English.
As we come to the end of this session, I want to leave you with one very important message. Fluency is not a gift you are born with. It is a skill you build, step by step. Many people believe that confident speakers of English must have some special talent, some magic ability that allows them to express themselves perfectly. That is simply not true. Every fluent speaker you admire has gone through the same process you are going through now. Moments of hesitation, awkward pauses, sentences that don't sound quite right, and sometimes complete silence when the mind goes blank. The difference is that they kept practicing, and they turned practice into a habit. That is how fluency is built. One of the keys to building this skill is embracing improvisation. Real conversations are never perfectly planned. You will be surprised by questions, challenged by new vocabulary, and invited into topics you didn't expect. This is not something to fear. It is something to prepare for and even enjoy. Speaking cards train you to think on your feet, to adapt quickly, and to use what you already know to express yourself. Sometimes your answer will be smooth and natural, and sometimes it will be clumsy and incomplete. Both situations are wins, because every time you speak, you are training your brain to react faster and more creatively in English. Now, I want to give you a challenge. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Take a few minutes right after you finish listening to this and create your first set of 20 speaking cards. You can use index cards, pieces of paper, or a digital app. It doesn't matter. Write prompts from your daily life, your work, your hobbies, and a few topics that make you think deeply. Then tomorrow, commit to recording your very first practice session. Set a timer for 2 minutes per card and go through at least 3 prompts. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't try to sound perfect. Just speak. That recording will be your starting point, and every session after that will be a step forward. Remember this simple truth: 1 speaking card per day and your English will come alive. If you commit to this habit, you will look back in just a few months and be amazed at how far you have come. The power is already in your hands. All you have to do now is use it.